And now that the quilt show's over here, 2 seconds later, we've got a squirrel trying to figure out how to get to the bird feeder. And hey, squirrel, you missed it. Oh, that is too funny. Oh, he just likes to eat upside down. He's training for sorority parties. They used to do keg stands like that, and now these are how squirrels train for upside down eating events, apparently. That is the funniest thing I've seen. Yesterday on my hike, I had a squirrel yelling at me. He wanted to bite at my sandwich, but I knew better than to feed him. Another quilt. Now, as Betty and I both agree, every quilt has a story. And the cool thing about this one is today, or maybe tomorrow, one of my adventures is going to a place called the Exchange. And the Exchange is where people drop off and pick up and swap things and pay for things, and it's just to benefit the community and keep the landfills empty. And all of these blocks were found in a little bag. So Betty paid roughly $5 for the quilt blocks in this quilt and then got the benefit of doing it. And she's got a friend, and again, Betty, he's an 80-year-old gentleman over on Lopez Island. Yes. And he's a long arm machine quilter, and he does a lot of the quilting for Betty, and he does a fabulous job. Okay, quilters out there, here is a wonderful grandmother's flower garden that Betty is working on as a community project for a friend whose friend's grandmother made all of these center blocks and put it all together, and Betty and maybe her sisters, I'm not sure, she'll correct me if I'm wrong, are all hand quilting. Nope, just Betty is hand quilting on this one, although Betty and her two sisters do a lot of hand quilting together on community projects like you saw in the museum yesterday. Now the reason I'm filming this quilt, because grandmother's flower gardens are not necessarily the kind of work I do, but what I do like is these wonderful diamonds in between the flower paths instead of other hexagons. And to me, I haven't seen this done like this before, and what I think it does is really accent those. And then they've also added in a nice green border. So anyways, there's the hand quilting hoop to see it's being done by hand if you can't tell by the stitches because they're almost perfect. And almost, exactly. She said it, not me. Okay, now, growing up surfing in and out of Mexico, we were always told to never eat seafood off the road, but I like this. This is a gas station that sells fresh oysters. And being that I'm in Orcas Island, my guess is that's no problem whatsoever. Okay, we're coming up on it now, the shiny cool thing in the trees. And I do not have anybody behind me, so I'm gonna get some good video. And hey, my answer to this is I didn't hang it there to distract traffic, so I should be allowed to stop and video. But isn't that incredible? It's gorgeous. So this, at one point, was a fire lookout on the top of Mount Constitution. I believe the highest spot on the whole island. And Betty actually used to spend summers watching for fire up here, and the reason is there's a 360-degree view. I wouldn't. You know I wouldn't, Dorothy. Come on.
I think you would. Oh, yeah.
You think I would, too. Okay, so now we have snuck up into Dorothy's loft, and Dorothy and Betty are sisters, and what Dorothy does is a lot of the upholstery for town. So that wonderful whale watching boat I was on yesterday, that blue fabric right over there is the upholstery that was inside the cabin of the ship when we were cruising. So anyways, another one of the family members here also doing textiles on the property. See what I'm getting at? So the upholstery shop was upstairs above the garage where she's got her SUV and a cool old Jeep. And apparently we're gonna take a little ride up the hill to deliver a birthday gift to the other sister named Judy, and we get to ride in Miss Daisy. So here comes Dorothy driving Miss Daisy now.
I want to show you a piece of upholstery that Judy did for me.
Okay.
In it.
And Judy fixed all that?
She did all the springs, and and redid it for me. That's
so upholstery is kind of her specialty, kind of her love?
That's what she does.
That's what she does.
That's what she does. That's her.
Isn't that terrific? And look at the way she lined up all the little covered buttons and everything to help accent the pattern.
Yeah, that's.
So the whole family is into textiles. I love that. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I came out to Orcas Island. Now you can't get rid of me. I'm staying.
But, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And there's Judy. She's the one who made this. And Judy doesn't know it, but we just got to see some of her handy upholstery work over at Dorothy's house. And I'm bringing this in. Yeah, your love seat was incredible.
Because I didn't think you'd have anything fancy up in the shop.
That's right. And they're all 2-inch squares. Are there any triangles in here? I'm trying to focus and film at the same time.
They're not even squares.
They're not even, oh, it's a Bargella pattern.
Yeah, we're cutting strips.
Cutting strips, skinny and wide, short and narrow. That is incredible.
Her first quilt she made.
And she pieced it all by hand. No. So here's Judy's upholstery shop. This thing is, look at the countertop. This is huge. No wonder everyone comes over here to base quilts.
Yeah.
Boy, that makes you the most popular place in town, huh? Cool. There's the heater.
Later on it, but we got it for it because it just took so long to warm up in it. Dennis gave it to me way before I even had a computer.
The lady said I had to put these in the video. If I wanted to share everything else I've shared, I have to have these in the video. Okay, quilters out there, I'm at my second visit to the museum. The first day I didn't have much time because I was on my way out to go whale watching. So I'm going to spend some time this morning with John and find out what's going on and his version of the history. But I'm also waiting for my new friend Mary, who was the lady who won the book on the first night. She's going to be driving up in her special smart car that is covered in quilt squares, or a full quilt. So it's a truly quilted quilt. You've got batting in there, you've got blocks, you've got backing on there, it's bound, the whole deal.
Yeah, what I did was when I went to Sew Expo about 5 years ago, I saw the Volkswagen Bug totally quilted in the auditorium.
Right.
And then when I had to be out of my studio for about 6 weeks, a couple years ago, I said, well, there's nothing I can do for a client, you know, with accuracy. So how about I just collect blocks from Orcas quilters. So Oregon Friend quilters, and some of which we'll see you at Expo this week.
Got it, because that's where I'm heading next.
Quilters provided leftover blocks. And the most important block, of course, when this all gets together,
I've heard.
Here's what Maggie did.
Oh my goodness.
There's
breeches and all.
the hood ornament.
Is that why your skirt can go blowing in the wind? Action.
Orcas quilters, leftover blocks, everybody has them. Oregon quilter friends mailed them up, and this took 6 weeks. I was out of my studio, had to do this because I couldn't do anything else.
Good morning. It's Sunday. I believe it's day 13. I think I'm back on track finally with that whole count. And I'm going to follow John, who's Betty's brother, up to the salmon hatchery and learn something about raising salmon to help better the population out there. Had another wonderful sunrise this morning and cup of coffee on my last night outside. Tonight I'll sleep indoors as I need to hit the ferry first thing in the morning to make it to Portland for setup on Monday. That's tomorrow. And we continue work on the Pacific Northwest Quilt Tour. So follow along. Okay, we just pulled up at the salmon hatchery. She's really good in the camera. Look at all those. Okay, so you're saying that each one of these salmon is about 25 pounds or so?
Averaging 20, we've got some fish up to 40 pounds here.
Okay, and just to remind everybody from the whale watching trip, the resident orca whales eat about 10 or 12 salmon per day. There's about 80 whales in the 3 pods that live close. It's about 800 salmon a day. Minimum. So that's why this is such an important thing around here. This is great. So this is the salmon ladder. And after watching them boost big air out of the pond, I can see they usually clear 2 steps at a time, huh? So believe it or not, high tide, the salmon come out of this bay area. And that's not a net. They're not trapped out there. It's just a cork line to keep the boats out. And they come up that little creek at high tide through that chute. And then from that point, they're handled individually and they're sexed and counted and put into the pond for the rest of the journey. Okay, I got another new friend. This is Marilyn. And oh, it's great, Marilyn. There's salmon jumping behind you.
Yep.
She's a hand quilter from Orcas Island and part of the fishery. So everyone I meet is quilting. Tell me the story of your great-grandmother again and her quilt.
I have my great-grandmother's quilt, and the date on the quilt is 1874.
Wonderful.
All hand piece, hand quilted, but I've taken very good care of it, so is my mother. It's in mint condition.
Oh, that's a treasure, and I know you know that.
Oh, it is, and so I started at a very young age quilting, and I've quilted, and my mother has quilted.
Fabulous.
And then she made the sampler quilt. Her last quilt on the frame was one of every pattern she ever did in her life, and then quilted it all. I gave it to her.
Fantastic.
She looked to be 90, so see, it was perfect.
Perfect. Oh, great interview, Marilyn. So nice to meet you. And let's go club some fish.
Okay.
So we got 32 inches, and now what they're doing is they're going to scan. And what they're doing is checking for a microchip that's implanted when the salmon are a couple inches long. And that way, they're, to my understanding, the microchips are put in right here as well. So this way they're able to track the benefits of the facility. It takes about 3 to 5 years for the salmon to return to spawn. And it's all part of the control and the rehabilitation of the king salmon population. While I was deleting footage, I just watched them throw a Chinook over. These are only the king salmon and only the males they're handling today.
You get big enough?
So that's baby salmon chow.
Baby salmon chow, yep.
And then it looks like we've got tanks and facility over here. Is that where they work on the babies, or is that where the babies are raised for a while?
We put the little ones after they've hatched out. To begin with, when they bring them up here from down at the pond.
So the babies are still hatched down in the big pond where we saw the...
No, the babies are hatched in these trays here.
Okay.
The eggs are taken from the fish down there in the pond and then brought up here and transferred into these trays.
And so these are kind of like where the mother salmon would have made her nest, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the trays, they go in this big swimming pool here, this big bathtub. And how long do you think they spend in here, John? A couple of months?
Oh, yeah, a couple of months.
Okay, so this may be some of my last broadcasting from the Orcas Island. I just have a few hours left of the afternoon, and then I'm going to crash out indoors tonight, get up early, hit the ferry. But just an incredible trip to the people of Orcas Island, to the people that made this happen. Thank you so much. I've had a blast. I've learned about it. So what I've really learned along this trip is my life is about relationships. And everywhere I go, there's somebody doing something fantastic, either to better the planet, through art, through rehabilitation of wildlife, through wonderful healthy eating. So anyways, I hope you've understood that message a little bit and all the wonderful things I found out here. Orcas Island has been an incredible treat for me because it's just really reaffirmed all of that concept about using art and nature and quilting and the community all that come together to make a fabulous place to live. So thank you again for having me on Orcas Island. All the people I've met and haven't met yet, I had a blast. Good morning to everybody there at home. I believe it's day 14 and the sun is just starting to rise over the mountain range there, Mountain Baker off in the background. Just before 7 o'clock on Monday morning, Orcas Island, and I'm going to have a quick cup of coffee, jump in my pickup and head for the ferry landing and make my way down to Portland as Quilt Expo officially kicks for me tomorrow. Hopefully get my class set up tonight. Once again, to everybody on Orcas Island, thank you so much for a fabulous trip.